if the given expression is going to match with the first label, then I'm going to execute label 1. When the condition is true, I can able to repeat. When the condition is false, the control directly transferred to next statement. If the condition is false, but still you got the chance to execute at least once. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session on control structure. I am Revati from the Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So dear student, before going to start my today's session, let me to recall the things what I have covered in my previous session. In my previous session, I have discussed the introduction about control structure. Along with that, I have discussed type of control statement. Along with that, I have discussed selection statement. In that, I covered if-else statement. Along with that, nested if statement. In this nested if statement, I have discussed two forms of nested if statement. Now, dear student, in my today's session, at the beginning, I am going to deal with switch statements, iteration statements. In that, I am going to deal with the types of iteration statement, that is while statements as well as do while statement. Along with that, I am going to deal with the comparison between while and do while statement. So dear student, from the examination point of view, these topics are very important. So please make a note of this topic. Now, directly moving on to the today's topic, that is switch statements. So what is the need of switch statement? When I have multiple choice, when I have multiple options, in that I want to select any particular option, in that time I'm going to follow switch statement. Now, C has built-in multiple branch selection statement, that is switch. For example, think that I'm going to visit hotel and I want to order some food. Now, what is the job of the waiter? He's going to provide the menu. In that, I want to select particular item or particular food. Now, same concept is implemented in C program. Now, I'm going to get the multiple construct and I want to select the particular construct. For that, I'm going to have the switch statement. So, if there are more than two alternatives to be selected, here it's mainly used to select more than two alternatives. So multiple selection constructs are used. Suppose when I have more than one alternatives, in that if I want to select particular solution, in that situation I'm going to use switch construct or switch statement. And this is the syntax of switch statement. That means how can I write switch statement in my program. So here at the beginning, I'm going to have switch keyword and I'm going to have the expression. So here I'm going to specify the expression. And here I'm going to have the alternatives, that is nothing but more than two alternatives, and that should be specified with the help of case, and I'm going to have the label, and it's going to vary up to N, and at the end I'm going to have the default selection. So at the beginning I'm going to have case along with my label name followed by colon, and I'm going to have the statement. And after selecting particular solution, I want to break the case. For that reason, I'm going to use the keyword break. Now, in my second case also, I'm going to use break. That means I want to exit from this block of statement. So, what is the block of statement here? That is, I want to exit from this switch statement. For that reason, I'm going to use the break keyword in my switch. Now, this is the flow diagram or flow chart of switch statement. Before that, dear student, tell me what is the need of default statement. There are some alternative solution we are going to have. Okay, and there are certain situation I don't want to select the alternative solution. Okay, and I want to select the default option. In that time, I'm going to use default keyword. Now, moving further, I'm going to have flow diagram of switch statement. That means how this switch statement is going to work. So at the beginning, I'm going to have an expression. So here I'm going to specify the expression and I'm going to have the case along with labels. And if the given expression is going to match with the first label, then I'm going to execute label 1. If the given expression is going to match with the second label, then I'm going to execute label 2. And if the given expression is going to satisfy with the label N, then I'm going to execute statement N. Otherwise, I'm going to execute default statement. This is the way the switch statement is going to work in C program. Now, these are the rules I need to follow while using switch statement. So, each case value must be unique. That means while labeling, each case value must be unique. After that, I want to specify the colon. For example, case 1, then write the colon. So, all the case must be enclosed within the curly brace. That means, at the beginning, I'm going to have the switch. Then, along with that, I'm going to have the expression, then opening curly brace and closing curly brace. And I'm going to write all the case statements within this curly brace. And while executing, depending on the label or constants, the corresponding set of statements are executed. And if the value of the expression is not going to match with the label, then the default statement is going to execute. And every case must be consists of break statement to terminate corresponding cases. To terminate corresponding cases, I must include break statement. Otherwise, the following statements are executed until break is encountered. Suppose if I want to terminate from the case, then I must want to include break statement. Otherwise, it's going to execute the case until and unless the break statement is going to encounter. Now, this is the simple example I'm going to have here. So, if I consider week, in a week, I'm going to have 7 days. and I want to check which day it is. For that, I'm going to write the program. So just a snippet. It's not a complete program. I'm just going to explain the pseudo code. So here, switch. This is my keyword, and here day number is nothing but and my expression. Now, if I select expression equal to 1, then case 1 is going to execute. Then what is the output I'm going to get? It is Sunday. Now, I want to break this case. For that reason, I'm going to use break statement in my program. For example, if my day number is 2, then case 2. Suppose if my day number is 3, then case 3, Tuesday. If my day number is 4, then it is case 4, Wednesday. And if my case is 8, for example, my day number is 8, then I'm going to execute default statement. That is nothing but invalid day number, because in a week, I'm going to have only 7 days. And if I select except these days, then it is invalid day number. This is the way I can able to use switch statement in my program. Now, I'm going to have the iteration statement or looping. There are certain situations in my program, I want to repeat same block of statement again and again. Instead of writing same statement again and again, what I can able to do here, I can able to place all those statements in my looping construct. So what is the use of looping construct? It is going to repeat the execution. That means it is going to repeat same set of statement again and again until the given condition is true. Once the condition is get failed, then it's going to exist or comes out from the loop. So, iterative statements are the statements. So, iterative statements are nothing but a statement. It may be a compound or simple statement that is used to repeatedly execute a sequence of statements. So, here iteration statements are used to execute this statement repeatedly until the some condition is satisfied or a given number of times. So, the process of repeated execution of a sequence of statement until some condition is satisfied is called iteration or loop. Now, if I consider iteration statement, it's also called as repetitive statement or looping statement. So, repetitive means what? I want to execute same statement multiple times. So, here multiple times is nothing but the repetition. For that reason, it is called repetitive statement or looping statement. So, if I consider C program, I'm going to have 3 different types of looping construct, that is while loop, do while loop and for loop. Now, I'm going to have while loop. So, dear student, tell me what is while loop. So, a while loop is a pre-tested loop. So, what is while loop? It is nothing but a pre-tested loop. Now, dear student, this is examination season. Now, suppose if I want to get into examination hall and I want to write the exam, then I must have entry ticket. So, what is the entry ticket here? That is nothing but the hall ticket. Without hall ticket, I am not permitted to enter into the examination hall. And similarly, if I consider looping construct, at the beginning itself, I'm going to have the gate, that is gate point. That is nothing but the entry point. There, I'm going to check the condition, and if the condition is satisfied, then I can able to get into the looping construct. So, while loop is a pre-tested loop structure, and this structure checks the condition at the beginning of the structure. So, at the beginning itself, I'm going to check the condition, and that kind of looping constructs are known as while loop. So, a set of statements are executed again and again until the given condition is true. For example, I have hall ticket and I want to write 6 exams. Now, if I carry the hall ticket for all 6 exams, then I can able to write the exam. And suppose if I forget to carry the hall ticket, then I cannot able to enter into the examination hall. Similarly, if I consider looping construct here, okay, till now when the condition is true, I can able to repeat. When the condition is false, the control directly transferred to next statement. That is nothing but it comes out from the loop. When the condition becomes false, control is transferred out of the structure. So, when the condition is false, the control transferred to next statement. There is nothing but the control is transferred to out of the structure. And dear student, this is syntax for how I can write while loop. So, at the beginning, I'm going to have while keyword. Along with that, I'm going to write the test condition or test criteria. And if this test criteria is true, then I'm going to execute set of statement or block of statement. And if this condition is false, so what I'm going to do? The control is transferred out of the structure. Now, I'm going to have the flow chart for while loop. So, at the beginning, I'm going to have the test criteria or condition, and I'm going to have 2 possibilities, that is true and false. If my test criteria is true, then I'm going to have the statement 1, statement 2 up to statement n. And I'm going to repeat these statements. And once my test criteria is failed, then the control transferred to next statement or the control moves to next structure. This is the way the while loop is going to work. Now, dear student, let's see how this while condition is going to work. So, at the beginning itself, I'm going to have the condition. So, I'm going to test the condition. And if the given condition is true, then the statement or set of statement which is present inside the loop are going to execute, and this condition is tested again and again. So, each time, for each iteration, I'm going to check the condition. The process is repeated until the given condition becomes false. That means till my condition is true, I'm going to repeat the process. When the condition becomes false, the control goes to next statement of the loop. So, the control directly transferred to next statement of the loop. Now, dear student, let me to consider simple example here. That means I want to display natural number and say n equal to 5. Say it is n equal to 5. For example, I'll take I equal to 1 and n equal to 5. Now, while I less than n, if this condition is true, then what I want to do? I want to print I, then I want to increment I because I want to print my next number. For that, I'm going to increment I by 1. Now, this is the example code. Now, for example, think that, dear student, here my I value is 1. 1 less than n, it is true. So, what I will do? I'm going to print I, that is 1. Now, I is incremented by 1. Now, I is 2. Now, 2 less than n, it is true. So, I'm going to display 2. Now, I is going to increment by 1. Now, I is 3. 3 less than 5, it is true. So, I'm going to display 3. Now, I is going to increment by 1. Now, I is 4. 4 less than 5, it is true. So, I'm going to display 4. Now, I is going to increment by 1. Now, I is 5. 5 less than 5, it is true. Is it true? No. Why? If it is 5 less than or equal to 5, then it is true. But here, 5 less than 5, the condition is false. So, the control transferred to next structure or next statement, that is outside of this looping construct. So, this is the way the while loop is going to execute. And it is followed by, I'm going to have do while loop or do while looping construct. So, dear student, think that without checking my hall ticket, I'm going to enter into the examination hall and I'm going to write the exam. And after writing my exam, at the middle, okay, someone comes to me and started asking about my hall ticket. Once they came to know that I don't have any hall ticket, then they won't allow me to write the exam. And this situation is best example for do while loop. So here do means what? Do certain work or execute certain statement, then check the condition. If the condition is false, but still you got the chance to execute at least once. So here it is a post-tested looping construct. This structure checks the condition at the end of the structure. So it is called post-tested. That means it allows to do the work and it's going to check the condition at the end. So, for that reason, it is called post-tested loop structure. The best example, without hall ticket, I'm going to write the exam. When the squad enters into the examination hall and they are going to ask me for the hall ticket, and that time I'm going to quote. That situation itself is do while loop. That means I'm going to write the exam. But after that, when they came to know that I don't have any hall ticket to write the exam, then they won't allow me to write the exam. Same situation here also. It is post-tested loop construct and this structure checks the condition at the end of the structure. The set of statements are executed until and until. So, the set of statements are executing until again the given condition is true, and when the condition becomes false, then the control transferred out of the structure or out of the looping construct. Now this is the syntax. So do, that means do this much work, then check the condition. If this condition is true, once again do the activity or do the execution, check the condition. And when this condition is going to false, that time the control is transferred out of the structure. Now I'm going to have the flow chart. So at the beginning, I'm going to have the statement. So I'm going to execute this statement and I'm going to check the condition. Okay, if the condition is false, still I can able to execute at least once. So it's going to check the condition, and if this condition is true, execute the statement, check the condition, and when this condition becomes false, then the control transfers out of the structure. Now, dear student, let me to write simple program here, that is do printf I plus plus while I less than n. Instead of that, I'll make it I less than or equal to n, and I want to place this semicolon. So this is the syntax for to display natural number. Now think that I equal to 1 and n equal to 5 and n equal to 5. Now printf I is 1, so I'm going to print I and I'm going to increment I by 1. Now I is 2. 2 less than or equal to 5, it is true, so I'm going to display 2. Now I is incremented by 1, that is 2 plus 1, it is 3. So 3 less than or equal to 5, true. So I'm going to display 3. Now I'm going to increment I by 1. Now I is 4. 4 less than or equal to 5, it is true. So I'm going to display 4. And I'm going to increment I by 1. Now I is 5. 5 less than or equal to 5. I'm going to display 5. I'm going to display 5. Now I is incremented by 1, that is 6. 6 less than or equal to 5, the condition gets failed. So the control moves out from this structure. So at the beginning, if the given condition is false, but still it's going to execute these many statements at least once. Okay, so given the condition is false, but still it's going to execute at least once, because we are going to check the condition at the end. So it is called post tested loop or exit tested loop. Now, dear student, I'm going to have the difference between or comparison between while statement and do while statement. So what is my first comparison? That is, while loops are known as pre-tested loop, whereas do while loops are known as post-tested loop. And in my while condition, at the beginning, that is initial point of looping structure, that means at the beginning itself, I'm going to check the condition. For that reason, it is known as initial point of loop structure, and it is, I'm going to check the condition at the end. So I'm going to check the condition at the end. For that reason, it is known as last of looping structure. Then if the given condition is false, then this looping construct won't execute any statement. That means the control directly transferred into the next structure. But if I consider do while, if the given condition is fail, but still it's going to execute at least once. And if I consider while loop, it's going to execute again and again until the given condition is true. But here also, in my do while, it's going to execute again and again until the given condition is true. Now, if the test condition false, control comes out of the loop, and here, if the condition is false, but still it's going to comes out of loop, and the statement may not be executed even once if condition is failed. That means at the beginning itself, the given condition is failed, then it won't execute. But if I consider do while, if the condition is failed, but at least it's going to execute one time. Now, the another difference here is I want to write the syntax. So, I want to write the syntax for while as well as do while. So, dear student, from the examination point of view, comparison between while and do while is very, very important. And I hope in my today's session, you got more information about switch statement. Along with that, iterative statements like while and do while. And in my next session, I'm going to deal with for statements. Along with that, I'm going to deal with jump statement. Until that, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.